Paul, I'm going to float something crazy out to you. You know, we know that Ben, Bell, and Brown, well, Brown's definitely not playing. We know these guys aren't playing. But do they dress? Is there a chance that you're scoreboard watching, and if the game's close against Cleveland, you see New England is losing, and you are teetering between winning or losing against Cleveland, that maybe you bring in Ben and Bell and these guys in the second half to win this game? Is that a crazy, ludicrous idea?
I mean, it's not crazy. I wouldn't do it, but it's not crazy. I mean, if you want to have them in uniform just in case, Bell and Ben and whoever you're going to sit out. But to me, I think you just go in with the mentality the game means nothing. And the other thing is, I think if you go in with the mentality the game means, you know, not that the game means nothing, but go into with the mentality we're not going to get guys hurt in this game because it doesn't mean a ton. And you let Landry Jones and all those guys, give them the opportunity to play and say, hey, this is your game. I think you're going to be better off. I think they'll have a chance to win because they're all hungry. They want to play. They want to show what they can do. Landry Jones, you know what I mean? He wants to show what he can do. And maybe he wins this game. He's got another game of film that, you know, a team needs a quarterback in a year or two whenever his contract's up. He's got 5 or 6 games of film that are pretty good. Maybe he gets a shot. I'm just saying, to me, it makes absolutely no sense to play these guys.
Yeah, I like your point. Would you rather have all these guys healthy and go to Foxborough, or would you rather have one of these guys hurt and have a home game? I go with the latter one. I want to have everyone, the first one. I'd rather have everyone healthy and play at Foxborough. I think they can win the game up there. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Let's go out to Tony in the Hill District. How you doing, Tony?
How you doing?
Good.
I just want to say something because you still have a lot of people on Facebook who's crying about this James Harrison thing. I just really want to say this, that even if James Harrison decided to go to Baltimore, they still would have had a problem with it because Pittsburgh and Baltimore are rivals. But being as though it's New England, the players and the nation has a problem with it. I just want to say, let the man make a choice and do his thing. Because if they're not going to use him in Pittsburgh, he wants to play football. That's his thing. If you're not going to use him, then let him do what he do best and let him get after what he wants.
Yeah, Tony, I don't think they had a problem with him signing in New England. The Steelers, the organization actually, Paul, I don't think they knew that this was a possibility. Mike Tomlin, they had to have known that this was a possibility. They didn't play him here. They don't think he can play anymore.
I wonder what would have happened. You know, I really think a lot of this would not have. If James Harrison would have signed with Minnesota or New Orleans or one of these other playoff teams that the Steelers aren't going to play or don't, have a rivalry with, I bet you no one would have even this would not even have been a topic. But of course he signed with New England, so that's number one. And number two, not only did he sign with New England, then he tried to play like he's the victim and that the Steelers caught him and did him wrong and lied to him.
Yep.
And you know what? That hit a nerve with the Steelers who said, the players of the Steelers players said, we've put up with this guy's nonsense for 15 weeks. We've wanted to win. We've tried to be a team, and this guy has not bought in. He's been a distraction. He's been a guy who's undermined what the coaches are trying to do. We've put up with it for 15 weeks and protected him because he's a Steeler legend, and now he's going to go out and badmouth the Steelers? We're not letting that happen. And that's what happened yesterday with Pouncey, with Mitchell, with Bud Dupree, all these guys. They just said enough is enough.
Yeah, and you had Bud Dupree on your show yesterday.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And that was really, we used it on the news last night. That was telling stuff.
The whole point is, there's two things to this. Number one, you go to New England. Like this guy said, you got to make a paycheck. He wants to play. There's no problem there. But in going to New England, there's going to be a backlash, at least among the fan base, okay? Yeah. So I don't know why people are even surprised that happens. It always happens. And number two, okay, go there, but don't make it seem like the Steelers lied to you and all this other stuff. Joey Porter in August, if you remember, said very clearly in August, we're playing the two young guys, and it's not going to be a rotation, and it's not going to be, they're young, they don't need a break. Why are we going to play a guy who's a one-dimensional player when we've got two guys that do the same thing, that one dimension plus everything else, and they're 15 years younger? He said that in August.
That was a huge story.
This whole thing that they lied to him is ridiculous.
But then he said he asked to be released then, too, in August.
Yeah, and again, he said he came to them after the first game. After the first game was the first time he asked to be released. Do you know why? Because after the first game, his contract for the whole season was guaranteed, which means
he
got his money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't go to him in August before the first game and say, hey, I'm not going to play here. Release me now. And the Steelers probably said, okay, you know what happened? We got to pay you for the whole year. We might as well keep you for the whole year.
You're right.
I mean, you know, this whole thing is ridiculous. James Harrison was an all-time great Steeler, okay? I don't like the way that he went out, but this is not this is the same thing as LeGarrette Blount did.
Yeah, I don't really think it's that big of a deal, other than he was a really good player in his day.
He was a great,
but not now.
Right.
The Steelers don't need him. If they needed him, or if they could have used him,
but
he
more
would have been on the roster
importantly,
still.
the idea that the Steelers did him wrong or lied to him is silly, because they didn't. They were on the record and said this guy wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
So I knew that in August. You knew that in August.
We did stories in August.
Anybody that read the newspapers or listened to the sound bites knew that in August when Joey Porter said very clearly, we're playing the two young guys. We're not playing this guy. It's not going to be a rotation. These guys, they're young. They shouldn't get tired. You know, maybe they get tired for one play. He might get the play. They made that very clear. So this is ridiculous. And he got upset and didn't like it, and did everything in his power to obviously get himself kicked out or cut or whatever, and it's fine. It happens. It's part of it, but I just don't like the fact that on the flip side of that, when you go to New England, you know what I mean? Just go to New England and be quiet.
Yeah, his role was to be a teacher, a mentor, and he did not do that at all.
And he didn't want to do that, and that's okay. Some guys don't. To me, the model example is Marc-Andre Fleury.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a guy who basically was a mentor to a dude he knew was taking his job. But he said the team first, and anything I can do to help the team win, and this and that and everything, I'll get mine back whenever it's my turn. And you know what? He's in a better situation. He's on a better team right now. You know what I'm saying? And he's a starting goaltender again. But he knew that he was mentoring a guy to take his job. That's part of it. So, that's how you're supposed to do it. Guys like Brett Favre, who was like a real jerk to Aaron Rodgers, and James Harrison apparently to Dupree and Watt, that's not how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, we got to take a break. He's 39 years old. He should realize that his playing days are just about over. All right, we got to take a break. Back in 2 minutes. More phone calls, some tweets coming up next. Stay right there.